I'm going to share with you how you can use yoga to unlock your potential and start your journey on personal growth. Welcome to Inspired Midlife. My name is Anne C, and this is your space to uncover purpose, embrace joy, and rediscover the missing link to fulfillment. I hope you have your cup of tea to hand and kick your shoes off. Let's get stuck in. I love the personal development world. The whole industry is something that I've been involved with for 20 plus years of my life, maybe 25 years of my life. And it is one that is continuing to grow. Back in 2022, the global personal development market was valued at approximately the 44 billion US dollars. Huge amounts of money. And it's projected to grow at a compound rate of 5.5% from 2023 to 2030. There was another report that indicates that the market was valued $1 billion US dollars in 2022, and the estimated compound annual growth rate was about 7% between 2023 and 32. Either way, there is continued growth, and there is a lot of money being invested and being spent in this industry as a whole. Now, we all know that personal growth is a journey, it is not a destination. And as much as I love this industry, there have also been times where I've been to events and I look around and I think these people are addicted on the high that you get from attending these events. And they're not really addressing the deep-seated issues that they personally may have. Now, don't get me wrong, I've loved all of it, and I still do. I've attended the big Tony Robbins events in London where you walk on fire. I've been to the Tony Robbins events over in the United States, to Life Mastery in Puerto Rico. I've attended events with Richard Bandler and Eric Worre's network marketing conferences in the US. And I've been to a load of other personal development events, and I've loved them all. So don't get me wrong, I love the industry. What I do feel sometimes is the industry built on people just going back for more. Because when you get a buzz, right, that buzz can be addictive, like any kind of buzz, whether you're an adrenaline junkie, you're into motorsports, or whatever it is. Yeah, I've even witnessed people who compete in Ironman triathlons, and they're addicted to the buzz that they get from that. So what is it that's lacking? Is it possible to get to a position where we can really enjoy the moment of such events and be okay with not wanting more, be okay with giving the next event a miss? So this journey that we are on is not a destination. I get that, right? So we're not looking to get into personal development and then, you're healed. Hey, that's it. End of story. I do think it's a continual journey because we continually grow. Life happens to us and we have no control over life. Through life, we shift from being a single person to being in a relationship, to being married, to experiencing loss, to having children. So our circumstances change as well, and that's all part of the journey. And because of that, we need to be resilient. We need to adapt and grow with the journey that's presented to us. Things that stops us from growing and becoming the best version of ourselves is stress, anxiety, the lack of self-awareness. We get stuck in our routines, our patterns, and our limitations, and we can't seem to move forward. We get into this comfortable space, right? That we just think, do you know what? I'm just going to sit here rather than try and break out of the mold, because the unknown is way more uncomfortable than where I am right now. So stress and anxiety can be really overwhelming, making it hard for us to focus on our journey, make it difficult for us to sleep, and really just to enjoy life. And I've certainly been there, with running my own businesses, income fluctuations, the lack of teachers for our yoga studio, shifts in market demands, and all sorts of other things. And we end up with this constant sense of unease. And the lack of self-awareness means that we're not even aware, actually, of our patterns, our habits, and our thought processes that are holding us back. And perhaps that is why the personal development, self-improvement, personal growth industry is making so much money, because they kind of help you, but they're not quite helping you along the way. I've always thought about this even years ago when I was starting off in the fitness industry. And I used to think about personal trainers, because at the time, yes, I did some personal training, but I primarily did one-to-one yoga teaching. And the way that I was taught to deliver yoga on a one-to-one basis is to empower the student, so that there are times in their life where they may really need you. Perhaps they're recovering from an operation, or they've got back pain, or anything like that. But then other times in their life, they should be able to move on. As teachers, I was taught that we need to empower the individual so that they feel empowered in their own life and they can make decisions for themselves, rather than keep coming back to seeing their teacher and relying on their teacher all the time. And this is like way back 30 odd years ago. And I thought the personal training industry, however, was all about keeping their client connected to them. There was very little empowering in the sense of saying to them, well, you know what you're doing now. Off you go. You don't need me anymore. And it's tough. I'm self-employed as well, right? So it is a challenge, because with no clients, you're not going to make any money. So you do want recurring income. And in order to get recurring income, we create packages for people, or continuity programs where they keep paying you something each month and they touch base with you. You hold your client accountable, and that helps them feel better, and it helps you because it helps your bottom line. But overall, the rising levels of stress and anxiety is played upon by the personal development industry. When I started my personal development journey, when I set foot in that industry, I also started on my yoga journey at the very same time. And there were so many similarities and crossovers, but one favored speed and fixing things fast, and the other one was truly a lifelong journey that was a personal journey. And so let's talk about yoga and how yoga fits into the personal development world. I've tried to look online for some more current statistics, but from what I can find, globally there are over 300 million people practicing yoga. And approximately 40% of those that are practicing yoga globally practice yoga for their mental well-being. So that's interesting in itself, right? Because I personally started yoga to complement my fitness training, because I was big into sport at the time, and I saw yoga as a way of cross-training to improve my mobility, my flexibility, my core strength, my stability, my balance. But I also saw yoga as a way of improving my focus, my mental focus. As an owner of a yoga studio, I'm aware that a lot of people do come because they want to feel better, and it does help with their overall well-being. So if we look at the 300 million people practicing yoga globally, there are about 970 million people, according to the World Health Organization back in 2019, who were living with a mental disorder, with anxiety and depression as the most prevalent condition. Around 12 billion working days are lost each year due to depression and anxiety. It's massive, right? That's a load of people and a load of money. And these working days that are lost each year due to depression and anxiety is costing the global economy over $1 trillion annually. It really upsets me to think that, I'm not saying, look, I'm not perfect, right? And definitely times in my life, even now, where I feel anxious and I do feel down, and I wonder, are humans being designed to just constantly live in the negative, just see things from a negative point of view? Or maybe it's because there's a whole different episode. I'll leave that for now. So going back to those statistics, it just highlights the global engagement with the personal development industry. as a whole. It also contributes to the widespread practice of yoga and overall well-being. So what I wanted to talk about in this episode is how yoga can contribute to our personal development. Most people that I know and in the circles that I'm in will see yoga as a form of exercise. Some people also see it from the meditation perspective and the breath perspective, but in my circles, yoga is seen as a form of cross training where people may be working out and doing weight training classes, fitness classes, going to the gym, running, cycling, and they've put yoga in there to complement their training regime. I was attracted to yoga for the philosophy. At the time when I started my teacher training journey, which was 25 or 20 years ago, I was lecturing in exercise science and health. So when I came to yoga, I was looking at yoga as a form of complementary therapy. I wanted to see if there were ways of treating an individual rather than treating the symptom and the disease. Could we treat the individual? And the part yoga had to play with that. The physical side was fine for me. I could create the shapes on a yoga mat. I was fascinated with the philosophy and how that through my teacher training, I discovered that yoga philosophy really was a great handbook for life. And as I embarked on my personal development journey as well, I just saw them working together so well. One was more extroverted and the yoga was more introverted. And for long-term gains and long-term benefits, I feel that yoga has carried me through my life more than some of the techniques and tools that I was exposed to in the personal development world. One of the key things about yoga that I learned very early on was that yoga was not about the physical body, but it was about the mind. Yoga talks about the swirlings in our minds. And I don't know about you, I don't just have one voice in my head. Sometimes I feel like I've got a village up there, especially when it comes to the decisions that I've got to make in life. It's like all these different, but what if this? And then another voice goes, but what if this? And etc. So a huge conversation that goes on in my head every time I need to make a decision, from what to wear to what to buy someone for a birthday present, and making big business decisions as well. You can certainly comment below if you think I've lost it, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who has all these conversations going on in my head. So yoga talks about the swirlings of the mind, the busyness of the mind. And yoga was a tool, or yoga itself had several tools, and all these tools are there to help us quiet down the swirlings of our mind. And when we quiet our mind, we are more able to focus. So this is where, coming from the sports perspective and fitness training, that I thought yoga could help with focus is because there are yoga tools that can help me quiet down all the mental chatter so that I could focus on the task at hand. Early on, I mentioned about the lack of self-awareness. I also firmly believe that if we can quiet down the mental chatter and tune in to our inner whisper, our intuition, then we become more self-aware. So when I discovered this, it just blew me away. From someone who came to yoga looking for the physical benefits to then realize that this could impact my entire life. Because if I can quiet down the mental chatter, I'm going to be less distracted. I'm going to be more in the moment. And I've heard someone say this before, that anxiety and depression stems from the fact that we're not actually being fully present, that we're either living in the future or living in the past. So this is where yoga, I feel, is such a crucial part of personal growth and development. It's the cultivation of self-awareness of who you are. And if you look at the personal development world, there's a lot of talk about values, your mission in life, and all of that. All that only comes if you know who you are. And the only way you can work out who you are is if you're connected with your deeper self. So I'm going to share with you 3 key points from yoga that have really guided me through my life. I consider them my personal development road markers. They're there so you can keep track of them, but they're also there to hold you in. So the first key point from yoga is structure and discipline. Words like discipline, structure may not sit well with you. I don't mind it. I do rebel. I do rebel against being told what to do. I always did as a child. went for piano lessons and I hated it. I hated being told I had to practice. I hated being told I had to do my homework. I did not like structure very much when I was growing up. However, when you look at it, structure is there to keep us on the right path. And you may disagree with me, especially if you're a parent. Personally, I feel that when children have certain guidelines, they function better. So whilst I don't mind the use of the words structure and discipline, the word ritual is a more comfortable word for me. If we look at our life, there's certain things that we do all the time. So just reflect on what do you have on a daily basis going on that provides your day structure. The first thing I can think of is actually brushing my teeth in the morning and in the evening. So that already is something that provides structure to my day, as I top and tail my day with that. What else do you have that provides structure on a daily basis? From a yoga perspective, or even from a fitness training perspective, it really helps if we have structure and we're disciplined. I mean, discipline and consistency is a whole different thing. But when we have structure, we can then measure improvement. So if you were to go and see a personal trainer, a good personal trainer will provide you with a training program, and they'll take your pre-measurements of where you are before you started with that particular training program, and you would undergo that training program or that structure. Yes, there might be changes with each session, but the general structure is there. And then they will then, after a certain period of time, remeasure to see your improvements. And if there's no improvements, because there's structure, we can then change it and we can tweak it to help you attain the goals that you want, attain the changes that you want. Likewise with life, how will I know what's really working when it comes to managing my anxiety levels if I don't have any structure, or if I don't actually put anything to the test for a sufficient period of time? If I just go about my day and think, I'll just do whatever makes me feel good, when I'm feeling down, I'll just don't do anything and I'll probably crawl under the bed. Not under the bed, under my covers, right? So I will do that. And then the day's gone. Next thing I know, 2 days gone, I haven't eaten, I haven't got out for a shower. Whereas if I can have some sort of structure to my day, and for me, I know at my low points in life, it's been fantastic having my cats because I've had to get up to feed them. And that alone is a structure that I can adhere to. It gets me out of bed in the morning. So having structure, discipline, whatever you wish to call it, to your day is certainly helpful for your personal growth. The second point that has helped me is self-awareness. So how do I cultivate self-awareness? By having structure. Because then I've got something to compare to. I know I've got my routines. If I'm sticking to something, I don't know, brushing my teeth in the morning and standing on one leg, I can develop my self-awareness by recognizing that, hey, my balance is improving over time. With regards to practicing yoga on a mat, actual physical practice of yoga, it's slower, generally it's quieter. And I certainly prefer to teach in that particular way, where the participants are empowered to move at their own pace once I've actually taught them the structure, because then when they're moving at their own pace, they develop the skill to be more in tune with their body, with their joints, with their muscles, and how they're actually feeling with that particular sequence. And then within that structure of the sequence, they can then adapt and modify accordingly. That cultivates self-awareness. And my yoga teacher used to say that the whole idea of practicing yoga is so that we can live with foresight rather than with hindsight. Life gets so busy, the noise in our minds, that we rarely have time to just sit and to be still, to be quiet, and to listen to the inner whisper within us. So I encourage you to make some quiet time for yourself throughout your day and throughout your week. The third point from yoga that has guided me through my life is surrender. Surrender to a higher force, surrender to God, because regardless of how much structure you have in your life and how much self-awareness you have, there are things that are beyond our control. If we don't surrender to the fact that there is the universe, a greater power that is quietly moving things along for the benefit of the greater picture, then we will just end up beating ourselves up. So many people I know and I've come across from delivering training courses over the years who say, I'm a perfectionist. I want to get things right. And my question is, perfection according to whom? And getting it right according to whom? To what? Spending your life chasing perfection, I feel, is a waste of time. What we want to do is to focus on the process rather than the destination. If you can focus on the process, one process at a time, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, and just being really, truly present, that will help us grow. And that, for me, all comes from the yoga that I've learned over the years. So to wrap this up, yoga for me is a personal journey. Yes, there is the actual physical movement and practice of yoga, but more importantly, it's the yoga as a philosophy and as a way of life. And how does that fit in with me, my faith, and how I live my life, how I continue to grow and evolve as a human being? Yoga has been my guidepost along the way. I would love to know your thoughts. How have you found yoga? Have you even done any yoga in the past? Is yoga a personal practice for you, or is yoga a class that you go to? If this resonated with you, do give the video a thumbs up here on YouTube. And also, if you're enjoying my conversations on living an inspired midlife, then do subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Till next time.